What if entire groups of people, or even just one person, could slip out of the world like a breath into cold air? No cry for help, no evidence, just gone. You heard about UFO sightings, secret missions, runaways, but these aren't urban legends. These are real historical cases that baffled governments, scientists, and families for centuries. The missing leaf behind half-finished letters, footprints that end mid-trail, cups still warm on a table. What's left behind is more haunting than any ghost, a silence that spreads through time. So turn on the light and don't blink, because every one of them was sure they'd be back in a minute. They never were. Let's begin. 1. The Lost Colony of Roanoke, America's first mystery. Picture the coast of North Carolina, 1587. Hot air, buzzing insects, and a brand new English colony looking forward to harvest. Governor John White sailed back to England to fetch supplies. He left behind 115 souls, men, women, children, and promised he'd return soon. But war broke out with Spain, and by the time he made it back 3 years later, Roanoke was a ghost village. Houses dismantled. No bodies, no weapons. Just a single word carved deep into a wooden post. Croatoan. No storm could carve that. Someone had a message to send. Historians say the colonists may have moved, or been welcomed into a local tribe. Others believe they starved or were attacked. But no bones, no tools, not even ash. It's as if the Atlantic breathed in and simply exhaled emptiness. More than 400 years later, archaeologists still dig through that sandy soil hoping for a clue, and each time they leave with more questions than answers. 2. The Mary Celeste, the ghost ship that wouldn't talk. November 1872. The North Atlantic, ice cold and endless. A British ship spotted an American brig drifting under full sail. They boarded her. Everything was perfect. Cargo untouched, maps spread on the desk, a meal half-eaten. No sign of violence, no storm damage, just absolute emptiness. Her name was Mary Celeste. 10 people had been aboard. The captain, his wife, their 2-year-old daughter, and a crew of sailors who vanished into thin air. No lifeboat, no distress call. The last journal entry, simple, routine, ending with all well. For a century, people have guessed pirates, mutiny, gas fumes from the cargo, making them think the ship would explode. But no evidence fits those facts. The Mary Celeste is still the sea's favorite riddle. A perfectly ready ship patiently waiting for a crew that never returns. 3. Amelia Earhart, the sky that swallowed a legend. Early July 1937. World fame. Newspapers cheering. Amelia Earhart and navigator Fred Noonan were completing a planet-wide flight. Only one more stretch across the Pacific. They took off from New Guinea in perfect conditions, radioed their position clearly, then static. After that, nothing. Search ships swept 250,000 square miles. Radar, planes, islands, zero. Decades later, bits of metal, a shoe heel, a knife blade turn up on a remote coral island. Are they hers? Maybe. Maybe not. The theories never end. Japanese capture, spy mission, crash and sink, survival? If you search her name today on Google Earth, you'll find little marks in the ocean placed by strangers, each one saying quietly, she was here. 70 years later, the signal still hasn't come back.
4. The Dyatlov Pass Incident, the mountain that remembers. January 1959. Ural Mountains, Soviet Union. 9 ski tourists, young, experienced, disciplined. A routine expedition became Russia's most haunting mystery. Searchers found their tents ripped open from the inside. Boots and coats were inside. The campers were not. Footprints, bare ones, led into the dark forest. Bodies scattered hundreds of yards apart. No knife wounds, no sign of struggle. Yet many had crushed skulls and ribs, as if hit by extreme force. 2 were missing eyes, 1 a tongue. Some clothes showed radiation. The official verdict concluded with a phrase so vague it's become legend itself. Death caused by an unknown compelling force. 60 years and dozens of theories later, avalanche, test missile, infrasound, aliens, no one knows for sure. Every few years, a new scientific paper claims it's finally solved. Then another question appears. Because there's one force we really can't quantify, human fear. For us, and then there were 3, the Flannan Isles lighthouse keepers. Far into the North Atlantic, A stone tower stood alone against the waves, its job to keep the sea safe. Christmas Day 1900. A supply ship approached the Flannan Isles light. The keeper's greeting flag was missing. The lantern was dark. The logbook ended abruptly. Inside the lighthouse, a warm meal on the table, a knocked-over chair, and 3 oil coats still hanging. Outside, ropes had snapped. A landing platform lay destroyed. Maybe a rogue wave hit. But why would all 3 men leave their post at once? Some said they were swept away together. Others murmured that the sea called them, and they answered. To this day, the Flannan light still flashes automatically, but no human hand has lived there since. 6. The human cost, those left behind. Behind every headline, someone waits by a door that never opens. Grief without proof is a different beast. There's no grave to visit, no mourning period, just a slow loop of maybe tomorrow. Psychologists call it ambiguous loss, a pain that has no off switch. One moment you believe they're gone, the next you hesitate when the phone rings. Families of the vanished often share one thing in common: a room left untouched, shoes still by the door, the bed made, waiting. Because until someone tells you otherwise, you prepare for a return. And so the real disappearance isn't just the missing, it's the life that freezes around them. 7. Our wildest theories. When logic fails, imagination moves in. It starts innocently. What if they never were lost, but taken? Alien abductions, secret government plots, time travel, parallel realities. Fantasy? Sure, but they exist because we hate unsolved things. A messy answer is still an answer. Every century rewrites these mysteries in its own language. The colonial era blamed witchcraft. The Victorians blamed curses. Today we say, simulation error. Maybe the real constant is not in what we add, but what we feel. The need to believe that disappearance is never just random. That somewhere, someone or something must know why. 8. Modern echoes. Vanishing in the digital age. It should be impossible now. Cameras on every building, phones tracking every step, the internet recording every thought. And yet, people still go missing as if reality has a hidden delete button. Some leave deliberately, burning their digital trail, selling everything, becoming ghosts with Wi-Fi turned off. Others vanish in ways we can't explain even with satellite imagery and GPS data. A woman walks into a parking garage on camera, never seen leaving. A man's cell signal stops mid-freeway, car later found with keys and wallet. Thread after thread on forums where the living analyze the last movements of the lost. It's familiar yet terrifying. Our tools can locate our phones, but not our fates. 9. The search for closure. Detectives open old files every few decades with new technology. DNA matches, digital enhancement, ground-penetrating radar. Sometimes they find tiny answers. A wedding ring, a button, a plane part speckled with salt. More often, they find another layer of confusion. Closure feels nice in movies. In life, it's a mirage. A body identified after a century brings peace and pain simultaneously. The certainty you wanted arrives with the finality you feared. The truth is heavy, and even truth doesn't always close the door. 10. The unanswered question: why we can't look away. We keep telling these stories not because they comfort us, but because they warn us. They remind us how little we control. Every generation faces its own versions of without a trace. The mysteries change clothing, ships become planes, letters become text messages, but the feeling is identical. The moment you realize someone was here, then was not. Humans are wired to finish stories. We can't stand a blank page. So we fill them with our own words. We argue, we search, we hope. That's why mysteries like these never die. They feed our curiosity and our fear in equal measure. And maybe, just maybe, that's why we survive. Because if they could vanish, we want to believe we can be found. No evidence, no answers, just names etched into history and questions that refuse to quit. Roanoke, Mary Celeste, Amelia, Dyatlov, Flannan. 5 chapters out of a book that has no final page. Maybe that's the real story here. That the world is still big enough for mystery and we're still small enough to wonder. They were here one moment and gone the next. But as long as we remember their absence, they are still a part of us. Fade to black.